The cycle of having debt, then putting things on credit cards because you've paid off too much debt, and then adding to that debt, and then worrying about paying off debt, so you put more onto your credit cards. Then when you get paid, you pay off that, and then you have nothing left, so you spend on your credit card, is a cycle that just continues for a lot of people. Feeling guilt and overcommitting to paying down debt, and then having nothing left over at the end of the month, so you have to then spend on your credit cards, can be a really big problem. And that's what's happening in today's Budget Bestie. Hi guys, gals and non-binary house, welcome to Budget with Ira. My name is Ira and on this channel we talk about budgeting, paying down debt and saving up for the life that you truly deserve. If that sounds like something you like to watch, please consider subscribing to the channel because we do have a lot of fun over at Bestie. We really do. In today's video, we're continuing the series of mine called Budget Bestie. Budget Bestie is a series where people anonymously submit their budgets to me. I take a look at them and see what I might do if I was in their situation. This is not financial advice, however, sometimes I can be a little bit helpful and really and honestly it's more about what is in the comments. What would you do? Please let me know. Please make your voice heard. So in today's video we've got a bit of an issue with someone that is constantly in a cycle of paying down the debt and then spending on the credit cards, and then it just becomes a vicious cycle. So we need to help them find a way to break that cycle. So besties, let's get into it. So I've got my sheet in front of me and it says that their main financial goal is to pay off debt and have savings. So we're going to be really looking at a debt repayment plan in today's video. They say their main financial issue is that they're constantly putting things on credit cards and having never-ending debt to pay off. So yeah, definitely what I spoke about at the start of today's video looks like what it's going on. There is debt and it's not a massive amount of debt in the grand scheme of things. It's about 11 grand, 10 grand, 11 grand. But when we look at how much money they're earning, it really is going to take a while to pay this off based off of their current things that they're doing with their life. But let's talk about the other information. So they say, I'm in my 30s, live on my own with my puppy. I have a partner who likes to spend a lot on food, eating out. So I feel the pressure with this. I would say I have a good salary, but it feels like I can't save as I'm always paying towards my credit cards, which never go down. I've racked up a lot on them in the last 2 years and can't really account for what I've spent the money on. And I know that all too well. That was what it was like with me. I've cleared them twice before, over 6k in savings, and they just mount up again. I'm thinking the issue may not be budgeting for going out for meals, drinks and friends with partner, then putting it all on my credit card. I don't have the actual money. Another problem is unexpected bills from my property management company. 3 years ago, I had to fork out 7 grand as every owner agreed the building needed a full roof repair. I just bought the property at the time and my bank balance I've always crippled by it ever since, and I live in constant dread of what's next. I would never actually like to spend money on myself like clothes, beauty, and spa days, but I can never afford to. I'm ashamed by the amount of debt I have accumulated, and I'll be so embarrassed if my family to ever find out. It also scares me that at this age I have absolutely no savings. And I feel you and I definitely identify you. But as you said, and I do agree with you, the priority is to pay off debt, then have savings, and then get yourself into a better situation. So that's what we'll be doing today, bestie. So we have got a super interesting one today, and what I wanted to do is I wanted to show you this new thing that we're using in today's Budget Bestie. It is a new product that's available on my Etsy store now. It's an absolute stunner and it's absolutely ginormous, but I will show you it in a sec. So shall we go ahead and should we get budgeting, bestie? Okay besties, here we are. We are using the new Budget with Ira paycheck bill tracker. It's the A4 tear-off sheet. So you've got 25 sheets just like the A5 one, but it's in the A5 format. So if you found that with the A5 one that you didn't really have all the space that you needed to put everything in, this looks exactly or almost exactly like the paycheck bill tracker that you can find in my budget planner. Just as a size comparison, this is the paycheck bill tracker in A5, and obviously it's literally half the size, but you know, for a lot of people, they don't have only 2 lines of debt and only 2 lines of savings. So I've fit as much as I could on here, but now you've got so much more space, and this is what we're going to be using today. So let's get cracking and let's start looking at this budget. So first of all, this person's income trying to write as neat as I can, is 2,744, and for them that's pretty reasonable, so I'm pretty pleased. It seems like they've got quite a lot of money to work with, but obviously, as we know with these, this soon will run out. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and write down all of the bills really quickly, and then I'll join you afterwards and I'll talk about all of them. Okay, so starting off, they have a mortgage, which is £592 a month, which actually seems really reasonable. They've got a small flat, which makes sense that they've now got like a property management fee as well. So like cutting the grass on the outside, fixing stuff up. So I think that's like a shared cost and something that they budget £100 a month towards. And it also makes sense why council tax and water are combined to 90. They do £100 for gas and electric, so £190 for all of that altogether is actually quite a good deal. It looks here like they're paying a lot for their car, so we might need to have a chat about that. Their phone is nice and cheap at £20, internet is okay at £25, pet insurance £54. They did say that they get like the premium version and they can't get what they get any cheaper, so that's that. Netflix is £7. Photoshop they have, because they have a side hustle, so we might talk about that later on if the budget needs it to, but yeah, £10 for Photoshop a month is quite a good deal. However, it's like side hustle, so it might not have a place within this budget, but we'll talk about it later. We've got iCloud, Omaze, which is some sort of lottery thing, and we know how I feel about that sort of stuff. Shopify, which is again for their side hustle. Then we got dog worming, which is £14 per month, and then there's some professional subscriptions, and they have spoke about those, saying that they don't really see the benefit of them and what they're getting out from them. The only thing that's stopping them from leaving them is the fact that there's a £200 rejoin fee, but like honestly I don't know. But anyway, all of that comes up to £1,388.29, which actually leaves them with £1,355.71. so let's have a look at envelopes. So first of all, we have groceries here. And groceries, I think, is really reasonable. They're managing to do everything on £200 a month, which is really good. Or at least they're budgeting £200 a month. We don't know how much they're actually spending. Then there's dog food as well. And, you know, I fully agree with separating that out from your food, because you will pay that regardless. Do you know what I mean? So £40 is what they pay for dog food, which is pretty much on par for what I pay. Then they have fuel. And as you can see, their car is actually costing them a lot, because they've got this car payment here and then they've got some in here as well. So fuel is quite a big expense for them, and the car as a whole. And then they put like £34 away for hairdresser every month. So I don't know if they get like a trim every month or whether they like put that aside, but that's what they've listed as an envelope, and they didn't actually tell me anything for spending. So at the moment it looks like they're not budgeting any spending money. So all of that does come up to $394, which leaves them with $961.71. So let's take a look at sinking funds. So they've got holidays booked, so they say that this is the amount that they need to pay, which is £161. Then they got car insurance and tax, so there's another car bill. So car insurance and tax, which is £60 they put away, and I assume they like sort of hold that up to pay it at the end of the year. Then they've got car maintenance, so like servicing and stuff like that. Car maintenance is £17. Then they have home insurance, so that'd be like contents and all of that. Home insurance is £6 a month. And then they have a car payment. So I'm not sure what this car payment is because they've got car there. I think it's like an overpayment to pay off their car as quickly as possible. So it's just another thing that they're adding into their car. So we've already got 300, 450, let's make it 500, 600, 700. So it's like almost a third of what their income is actually goes on the car, which is wild when you think about it. Then they have domain fees, which is again a part of their side hustle. So domain fees is $12.50. Now they did say that they've got some aspirational sinking funds. So first of all is vet appointments that they'd like to be a bit more prepared for. So vet appointments, so they're currently budgeting a $0, but they'd like to have like £50 in there at all times because it's like minimum fee is £50 for it. And then emergency fund they'd like to have, so emergency fund is $0 at the moment. And then they'd like to do Vanguard index funds, which I don't really know what they are really. They'd like to do those, but they're $0 at the moment. So their sinking funds in total come up to $423.50, which leaves them with $538.21. So debt and savings will change this to debt, and they have a minimum payment on all of their debts. And we will go into debt because obviously being out of debt is their number one priority. So they have a minimum payment, which is their minimum payment is actually $276, but they say they do $300. So being that their like smallest payment is $300 that they do at the moment, which leaves them with $238.21, and that is their buffer. So we can already see that there's like money left over, but as we know from doing these budget besties quite a lot, we know that this money goes somewhere because they haven't budgeted spending, they haven't budgeted for like so many small things. I think it just evaporates, and having a really good plan on where this money goes will seriously help them. Now obviously we'd say, okay, well chuck £200 extra to debt, but we know that they need spending money and stuff like that, so we do need to completely rework this budget. So I'm not going to get my red pen out, I'm getting my green pen out. Now I know you all moaned about the yellow pen, but we got a green background. I do want to make it a thing, so I'm super sorry. So let's go back to the bills. Now, the first thing that I want to take a look at is this property management thing here. So with the property management, she says that she does budget £100 a month to it, but she's quite often caught out by stuff. So she was talking about how once everybody had agreed to replace the roof and she just had to pay £7,000 for that. So with that sort of thing in mind, and the fact that her mortgage is what it is, it's not really reasonable to move out. So I would recommend to adjust that to £120. And then the same for gas and electric, because it sounds like she's in arrears and it sounds like it's often more than it should be. So I would definitely raise those two just to sort of catch yourself and make sure that you're prepared and ahead of stuff. I definitely look at this car because I don't quite understand why it is so much. And then we've also got the car payment as well. I don't truly understand it. I would always just pay the minimum on the car until we're at a place where we either need to exchange it or we own it. I wouldn't really bother with that, but everybody has different priorities. But to me, it seems like this car is sucking a lot of your life away, and it just doesn't seem very reasonable to me. So I would definitely consider about whether having that car or paying that much is the right thing for me. I'd definitely do that. What I'd also do is I would also stop taking these payments out of my, like the payments for side hustles out of my own pay, because you should have your own like side hustle bank account, like where the money coming in pays for things like Photoshop. So I would take this to 0, and I'd move that into like a side hustle account or whatever. Now, if we're not in a place where we're earning yet, you can definitely get cheaper and free versions of Photoshop. You definitely can do that. Things like GIMP, things like that. Stuff that I used GIMP for a very long time till I converted over to Photoshop. So there's that. I would stop doing the lottery because no, I just wouldn't. No one ever wins. Do you know what I mean? Shopify is a business expense, so I'd move that into the business, and I would remove these professional subscriptions because, as you say, you don't get anything from them. So what is the point in paying £42? That could be used in so many other places. So I'd cut a lot of that away. It does bring your payments down slightly because it doesn't do it as much because we've added £40 in, but it does bring it down slightly to 1,351.29, which now leaves you with 1,392.71. So in terms of the 50-30-20 rule, you are pretty much in the right place. But let's go and approach these envelopes again. So I think if you can make £200 work for groceries, that's absolutely fine. You will pay whatever it is for dog food, fuel, if that works, and that is everything. This seems like a self-care thing, so it seems really important. But what I would start to do is to factor in some spending money, and I'd do £30 a week, which is 120. So this does unfortunately raise the price of your envelopes to £514, which gives you 878.71 left over. But you know, it is what it is. We got domain fees, which again is a business expense, so we should be moving that out. I would do some vet appointment stuff. And I'd do £10 a month just to see where you're at. If you find yourself having to go to the vets more than every 5 months, then you might want to consider upping that. But considering what I've done with this budget, I think £10 is pretty reasonable. I still wouldn't put anything into emergency fund because I would be chucking as much as I could at debt. But if you want to throw less at debt and pay it off over a long period of time, you could start doing that. And because you said you wanted to do the Vanguard index funds, let's do it. Let's do £50. Let's save it. So this all comes up to £461, which leaves you with 407.71. So I'd then make your minimum payment £400 to debt. Yeah, so that's basically all you have left. It doesn't give you a very big buffer at all, but you're in a sort of paying off debt, and you can reduce stuff if you want to. You can get rid of stuff if you want to. And this car thing as well, it really does give me question marks about what is actually going on, because you have a payment for car and then car payment as well. It does seem pretty steep, but I don't know your business. So let's have a look at this debt repayment plan, because you say that that's your priority. So the beauty of this, we tear it off. We're ready for a new budget, bestie. And I'm gonna do the debt plan on the back. So today we're gonna do the debt snowball again, because I think this is probably the most appropriate approach for this one. So first off, we've got a Pulse credit card. I'm just gonna put CC, and they owe £45.80 on that, and their minimum payment is £5. Then they have a Virgin credit card. The amount they owe is £370.49, and the minimum payment is £25. I'm just going to fill in the other three, and I'll join you back in a sec. Okay, so that's all done. So there's 5 credit cards they owe on. The largest is £7,847, so that looks like where they put like that roof payment on, and there's obviously more being added to it. So in total, what they owe to debt is £10,883.98, which doesn't sound like a lot of money, but we're not throwing a lot of money at debt on a monthly basis, are we? So their minimums actually come up to £276, so that's what we have to pay every single month. But if we're pledging £400 per month, that gives us a overpayment of £124. So rather than tackling it as a whole, let's look holistically, and let's start adding that and snowballing through. So first of all, we've got the £124. When we add it to the £5 we owe for the Pulse credit card, we are now with a snowball of £129, and we will have that cleared in the first month. So we can cut up that credit card and get rid of it, right? And then we've got the new snowball of 129. When we add it to the £25, what we actually have is 154. So that will be paid off in a little over 2 months. And I'm going to call it 2 months because it's obviously less than 1 month for that, because like you'll have like 50 quid change. So that's 2 months for that one. When we add the £154 snowball after the 3 months have gone to the £34 for the MBNA credit card, that gives us a snowball of £188, which means this is gone in 7 months. So we're really starting to get some speed done. The only issue is that the payments for the first 4 cards are so small that we won't really start to see some big snowball numbers until we get towards the end. But anyway, the 188 plus the 12 gives us our penultimate snowball, let's say, of £200, and that means that the platinum credit card is also gone in 7 months, right? And then when we add that 200 to that, we now have the full snowball of 400, and that is going to take 20 months to clear that, but it's a big hefty amount, and to clear nearly 8 grand in 20 months, that's quite an achievement, right? So all of that in terms of time is 37 months, which is actually a little over 3 years. So if we are making money from a side hustle and stuff like that, we can chuck more to it as well. I think with this budget, I think this is like quite a reasonable and measured approach, really, because we're thinking about the future in terms of we're trying to avoid an emergency because we don't have an emergency fund. So if we save more for property management and save more for gas and electric, then we are avoiding the 2 big causes of emergency within our life, right? So that we kind of are less vulnerable without that emergency fund. Now, there's obviously loads that could go wrong, like the car could go wrong and stuff like that, but we've got so much that we're normally paying to car that using that money instead could probably sort it out. Do you know what I mean? So I think this is a relatively safe budget. Now, obviously, what the aspiration is for this person, it seems that this side hustle will start to kick off and we can start adding some money into this, which will mean that we can either start building this emergency fund, start putting more into index funds, start adding more into holidays, but also pay off debt quicker, because I think that's probably what they want overall. But yeah, I think this budget works, besties. Let me know down in the comments what you would do. Hi guys, gals and non-binary pals, thank you so much for getting through to the end of the video. You know I love it when you get through to the end of the video. Please give this video some love, make sure you like, comment, share and subscribe, and if you are going to comment, please use this emoji. What did you think of today's video? What would you have done in that situation? I mean, for me, it's always about getting rid of the debt, because then you can sort of see the woods for the trees, and once you have no debt and you don't have that shackle on you, you kind of are your options become so much more varied and so much more wild, because you've got all of that money available to do whatever you want with it. So if it does look like saving, then go for it. If it looks like spending it all, do it. Like, you've got the money for it. But yeah, I'd be really interested to know what you would do. So please let me know down in the comments. If you have a question or you want me to take a look at your budget, please follow the link in the description for Budget Bestie and submit your budgets completely anonymously, and I might be able to take a look at it, bestie. Thank you so much for getting through to the end of the video, but an extra special thank you to the patrons and the channel members who make all of this possible. I truly mean it when I say without you, I would not be here. Patrons get exclusive content, sneak peeks, and significant discounts off my Etsy store, so if you would like to join them and support me over on Patreon, please take a look at the link in the description. You will not regret it, bestie. That's all we have for today's video, but until next week's Budget Bestie, I would like you to have a wonderful day, have a wonderful week, and have a wonderful budget. Always remember, don't trust Ira. And bestie, I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for being here. Bye-bye.